tonight I'm going to show you how to make chicken salad. And this is not something that we do all the time. It's kind of a special thing, but like for baby showers or weddings, whatever. It's a really nice dish to do. The first time I ever did it with my family, they loved it. It was a hit. And I put it on the bread, the lettuce, the tomato, and the veggies, and of course you can just eat it with crackers. And we had a side of sweet potato fries with it. It was awesome. So, it is a little involved, but it's really not that difficult. I'm going to start out with a Vitamix blender. I'm going to get my gloves on here. If you don't have a Vitamix, this works fine in any blender, because all we're going to be doing is blending garbanzo beans with water. That'll do in any blender. Oh, this is on page 108 of the Natural Lifestyle Cookbook. It is, you can use either dried beans, which you would have to soak them overnight for a really long time. I find that it works better in this recipe with the canned beans because they're a lot softer. And so if you're going to use dry beans, I would just recommend that you soak them probably more than one night. They're really hard. And then the water, I'm just going to blend this up. I usually do a double batch. Now, let's see. Now, we're going to be adding our tablespoon of rice with aminos from last night. You'll remember that. We use this in everything. That's why we have it back there on the table, because a lot of recipes take this and it makes it really flavorful. And now it calls for McKay's chicken seasoning, and I made my own chicken seasoning. You got the recipe for that last night called chicken seasoning. And so therefore I do not put any of the salt. It's called for garlic salt, and if you do, it's going to be too salty because the chicken seasoning is already very salty. So it just depends on what kind of chicken seasoning you're using. And I probably should do this. Alright. And I'm not going to put the rest of the ingredients in because the salt, the garlic powder, the parsley, onion powder, that's already in the chicken seasoning. And so I'm not going to do that. But the only other thing is to add the gluten flour. Now y'all remember from Tuesday night about the bread is that the gluten is the part of the bread that makes it get that great texture, gives it structure, makes it really what we like about bread, real, just a wonderful flavor and texture. So in this recipe, what the gluten is going to do is it's going to make it have a meat-like texture. So it's going to give us that real bouncy flavor, texture of meat. And so what it's going to do is going to sort of turn into a dough, not a dough like bread dough, but it's going to be something that I can work with. What I will, you can see this. Going to make it to where it's going to get like a stiff ball of dough, and I'm going to just mold that into a little ball. And it's going to go in the oven at 350 for an hour. And then we're just going to put it through the food processor and add everything else to it, like you normally would for chicken salad, your veggies and your celery. And put it wherever you want it, with crackers, bread, whatever. I'm going to go ahead and put it down here so I can finish putting it into a ball. And mixing it up with my hands is really an interesting texture to work with. It's just very fleshy. It's kind of like a baby and it's heavy. So it's really interesting. David's going to do some gluten steak. so I just go ahead and put it into like 4 pieces. That's what it looks like. And it looks kind of like bread, but not exactly. It's a little different texture. So it's just the gluten part. Remember, gluten is the protein of the bread. And I go ahead and just put all 4 pieces in here because I find that when you only put a little bit, it doesn't seem to work as well because it needs something to like rub up against. So I'll just go ahead and put all of it in here. And watch the magic begin because it's very neat how it turns out. I might actually have to, at least to get it full. Just want to get it full. I hope this one works. Nope. This one's not plugged up either. No. Technical difficulties. What always happens when we're live. We have no commercials for you, so you get to see everything behind the scenes. It's the green. Processor, you kind of have to rearrange. You have to stop and rearrange a little bit. And I'll show you what it looks like. I could use a clean bowl. If somebody wants to go to the kitchen, there's a red bowl back there. Probably need to use a clean bowl. But I'll show y'all what that looks like. It kind of looks, well, it looks like chicken. Thank you so much. That was fast. So you have this texture going on here. You can see. See that? Which you can get from the health food store. This is, I usually use the grape seed kind. You don't have to use that. The grape seeds are excellent. Even if you just eat grape seeds, don't get the seedless because grape seeds are wonderful for your health, especially for women because they have a lot of things for women's, fertility parts, women's parts, and they're really good for. It's really good for anti-aging too. So we all like that. So you can just eat the grape seeds, or you can get stuff with grape seed oil in it. It's not cheap. The bigger jar is like $13. I don't know what this one is, but a little pricey. I don't usually use this like on sandwiches. I usually use avocado. I'll just spread avocado on there. But for this, there are other recipes, but whenever you're new at it or you're in a hurry or somebody that's not used to eating this way, I would definitely use the Vegenaise. Of course, if you're still in transition, you can always just use real mayonnaise and just do this part. I'm just going to throw our celery in there. And mix it all up. And that's pretty much it. Well, pretty good. taste it later. Ma'am? I haven't tried other things, but yes, you certainly could. You could even slice it up instead of putting it through the food processor. Oh, and here's the gluten I wanted to show you. There's two different ways they come. They used to have it at Winn-Dixie in this, or no, this at Winn-Dixie, and but now I haven't seen it. So this is what I found at Health Hut. It was $5.29. That's the Vital Wheat gluten, and that's what you need to use. Hey, tonight it's oat burgers. Everybody loves burgers, right? So I love these. We make these about once every 2 weeks in our house. And the kids just love them, our friends love them. I mean, who doesn't like all the fixings with your tomato, lettuce, and pickles, and mustard, and ketchup, and all that. So, and I'll tell you the falafels that Kim was talking about, those are awesome too. You put them in pita bread, with lettuce, tomato, veggies, or the vegan ranch dressing. And I mean, I can make 4 times what's in the book, the recipe, and my kids alone, plus their friends, I mean, they're all gone. So I'm like, goodness gracious, I thought I was some leftover. No. Okay, this is going to be made with oats, and these are the little oats. I use the old-fashioned too, but these are the quick oats. And this gets me every time because I really do the recipe different. And I don't want to say anything about the book. The book is great, but you know, every recipe, I always start out doing the recipe the way it says, exactly by the book the first time. And then I always change it, you know, to kind of make it what I want it to be. So there's a few things that I add in that's not in here that I was going to tell you about. And also, it does call for boiling the water and then adding your oil and your seasonings and then adding your oats and letting that cook for a minute. And I don't know if it's the altitude difference. Sometimes the temperature, the altitude difference makes a difference in these things. But down here in the south, and I think Miss Kinley's from up north, what's called for on here was like soup. So I put only like, instead of 4.5 cups of water, which is the same as 4.5 cups of your oats, I put like 1 to 2 maybe cups, because then you still have your liquid, and I'm missing my liquid aminos. Sorry. I told you we were going to be using that. Liquid aminos, and you still have your other, your oil. So there's a lot more liquid going on in here. So I don't put the whole 4.5. I put 1 or 2. And plus, if you're using these smaller oats, they're going to absorb more than the larger ones, so you do need more water. But you still don't need that much. Okay, so it says to boil all of that. Thank you. Sorry. 68, sorry. Page 68. You boil all of that, and to me, I guess I just like a tougher, you know, I like meat to be not as moist and mushy. I just like it a little bit tougher, not dry, but just tougher. So anyway, I just put my oats in, and I just go ahead and put my water in. I'm going to be careful about how much water I put in here. I'm going to put about half of this first. And then we'll see how it does, because we still have all of this to do. And I'm sorry, I also need my cups, and I need the cup and half a cup and the tablespoon. When you're doing 2, you have to keep up with all your stuff and switch it over. And almost everything on here, a lot of the stuff was in the chicken salad, because you have all these different seasoning. These are the extra seasonings I put in there. I put in oregano, dillweed, you know, because who doesn't like pickles on their burger? So I put dillweed and then sage and then thyme. And this is the chicken seasoning that I make up, and it also calls for nutritional yeast flakes, which is in the chicken seasoning. So if you're doing it by the book, it's just this, and then I added all of these, and I don't have to put that in it. This gives it a cheesy flavor. Thank you, sir. So, you know, that's really good. Have a nice cheesy flavor on your burger. Those are optional. So, let's see. We need a tablespoon. Is that right? No, half a cup. Yes, a lot of liquid going in here. So, that's why I have to watch the water. And this whole bottle of liquid amino is only like 9 dollars and something, so that's a really good price. I use this a lot. As you can see, I'm almost out. It was $9.49 at Health Food. Okay, and then 2 tablespoons of oil. I always double this recipe. I never make a single recipe of this. There's no need because it won't even go with my family one night, one meal. So I just double it. And then I have some left over for the next morning that you could put gravy, the gravy we had the other night, put that gravy on it. And that's wonderful. You already have breakfast. These are, let's see. And then you're going to have your onion. Chop up onion. It's 1 onion. Gives it really good flavor. And what's left? I'm going to do the chicken seasoning because I add that in there. And I just do like a tablespoon of that. And we also have this for you on the back where we made up some of it, and you can get it at the health food store, but it's so much cheaper just to make it yourself. You use so much of it, and I had this full. It's just great to flavor everything, and if you go to the health food store, you're constantly running there, and you're constantly having to pay a price that you don't want to pay for that. So just make up a bunch of it. That's another reason why we have these things on the back there for you, because we know that if you're going to be using these recipes, that they're in a lot of recipes, and we don't want you to have to figure out where to go get them the first time. So see if you like it first, and that way you can try it out, and then you can go look for it. But it's going to be at your health food store where you're going to find these 3 items. Are not going to be at Walmart or Winn-Dixie or anything. Okay, so now I think I might add a little bit more water. And I'll show you. I put like about a palmful of each of these seasonings. So the dill weed, it smells so good. Can anybody grow dill in their garden? It's pretty easy to grow. And it smells just like pickles. It's so neat. Go out to your garden and smell pickles. Okay, thyme. That was a thyme, sage, and I just put a little palmful, maybe a teaspoon. And you really can't put too much in there, I don't think. All right, and then I'm going to put a little bit more of this water because I think it needs it. But you really do have to watch the liquid and the water on this. Another recipe in there was kind of the same way. I think you have to watch. I think it was the date butter. You have to watch the water because it can be too much or not enough, just depending on the temperature and the temperature in your house, the temperature outside, especially with bread making. And, the altitude has a lot to do with cooking and baking and bread especially. So you just have to, that's why you can never do it the way the book says, because you don't know where the person who made it lives. And if they live up somewhere in a high altitude or it's cold or it's hot or whatever, it's going to be really different. I'm sure the way they cook in the Bahamas, that's why we cook differently in different places. It's just a lot different. All right, so now we've got it all ground up. And what we're going to do is start forming it into patties. So I go ahead and spray this with the Pam. And you can get that in olive oil, and I use olive oil. You get the spray in the olive oil. Now, the book says to do it this way, and I was doing it this way, but it has like a little, little ball lid for your mason jar. If you're doing it for your family, just do it, real fast, and it's done. But if you want to make it look really, really nice and perfect for people, for company, you can spray the pan in there, and you can just fill it up like this. And then whenever you go to, see, I think there's a little bit too much water. You just pull it off, and just pull that off, and then you have this little round disc. I don't want to be flat on. You see it? Okay, and then, but the way I did it, and my friend Teresa taught me how to do this, and I love it. You take your ice cream scoop, because Teresa's all about saving time. She's got a big family. You take an ice cream scoop, and you just put them down there. And you can also, if you want them smaller, like minis, like sliders, get a cookie scoop. And if you want teeny tiny, you can do a melon baller. I don't know anybody doing that small, but you don't want people eating a lot of them. You don't want them to go too fast, maybe for wedding, I don't know, but you can do them really small. And I've got them a little close together here. But this is what Trish just had. You just pop them down on there so fast. You just very together. And then you get your spatula and you just mash, 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 mash. And then you can kind of fix the edges a little bit. But to me, that's so much faster. And, I mean, hey, anytime somebody can teach you something faster, go with it. That's so much faster, and it's just as neat looking even for company. So my family gets to have it neat looking too. Just scoop them on the sides like that. Make sure they're not too close together, and there you are. Pretty much perfect. All right, that's it.
Funny. How many have learned one new thing tonight about what God wants for our bodies? One new thing. We can incorporate that into our lives and just take it one step at a time and get where He wants us to be, and that is healthy. So I am presenting kale salad tonight, which is my friend's recipe, Teresa. Destiny mentioned her earlier. This is an easy one. I like easy, right? We like easy, especially if you have to work, and I do more than 40 hours a week. So this is an easy one. This is called raw kale salad, but I call it, these you may eat freely, because you can eat as much of this as you want. 15 maybe minutes, something like that. That's about what we did in the kitchen, just to get it soft. And so your dressing for this is really easy. 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and salt. That's what's in here, except for salt. We're going to do that last. So I like to add this first. Just want to get it all mixed up. By the way, does anybody know the difference between dark olive oil and light olive oil? Extra virgin, right? So the dark one is if you want to use it raw. Light one is if you want to cook with it. Did you know that? I didn't know that until recently. Makes sense? So I've already massaged this, by the way. It all feels really good and relaxed now. I got a joke for you. You want a joke?
Yes.
What kind of lights was on Noah's Ark? Huh? Floodlights. Speaking of the flood, a lot of things changed at the flood. God gave us some permissions, but He originally only wanted us to have the diet we've been speaking about, because that's what was best for man. That's what He created for us. So I like staying with what He wants for us, right? Now, the base of this salad is pretty much done. You can serve it this way. The recipe says any bright colored vegetables, anything you like that you think would go good with this. You want to be careful on your lemon juice too. I cut back just a little bit on the recipe. By the way, it's not in the book. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. But you can get it at the table. Okay? So cut back a little bit on the lemon. The kale is already a little strong. So we're going to do some chopped carrots. This is going to be on the bar tonight for y'all. Some green onions. Of course, you can leave those out if you're not a fan. This is just some yellow bell pepper and red bell pepper that we chopped up really fine. And we have a ninja that did this, so it's really pretty. We have some cranberries for a little bit of sweet. This is the first time I tried it with cranberries, and 2 or 3 people back there in the kitchen said they really liked it. It just helps curb that a little bit of bitter flavor that you can get from raw kale sometimes. We've got some red onions, and again, you can add what you want, take away what you want. And this is you can do any kind of nuts. We've been talking about nuts a lot, so you can do any kind of nuts you want in this. I just happen to have some honey roasted sunflower seeds. Really good. So we're going to add that, and now I'm going to put a little bit of salt in here. Also, the salt's going to break down that kale a little bit too, start releasing some of the juices that's in the kale. And it starts to break it down, makes it even softer, and gets more of like a dressing on it. And basically, you mix it up. It's all pretty. It's got nice colors. I would chill it just a little bit before you're going to serve it to your family or guests. And somebody in the kitchen mentioned that it would be really good on the burgers you're going to try tonight. So, that is the salad. I hope y'all enjoy it. And we're going to eat here in a few minutes.